I'm ready whenever you're ready.
Welcome to Troy Plan Commission meeting for May 10th. Please call the roll.
Mr. McGarry?
Here.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Here.
Mayor? Here. Mr. Titterington?
Here.
Mr. Cappers?
Here.
Mr. Wolke? Mrs. Ehrlich? We have a quorum.
Okay, we have our minutes before us for our April 26th meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes from the last meeting.
Second. Second by Mr. Westmeyer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? They stand approved. Historic District application for certificate of appropriateness for the Mayflower line.
Yes, sir. Ann Scott Distillery, LLC, on behalf of Busted Burke Realty Group, who's requesting planning commission approval for proposed signage on the building at 9 West Main. Just a note on this application, the planning commission has approved the installation of the Mayflower sign, which is indicated in the graphics, in November 2022. And then the graphic also indicates the Mayflower sign on the right-hand side of the building, or the east building. That is not part of this application. That will be a future application. The applicant is proposing installation of new signage above the entry doorway, the transom window, and entry door of the western entryway on the south facade of the building. This entryway faces Main Street. The lettering above the doorway will read Provisions Co., measuring 115 inches by 6.75 inches, and will be standoff acrylic bronze. The transom window signage will be the number 9, measuring 8.7 inches by 13 inches, and will be made of white vinyl. The lettering on the entry door will read Provisions Co., measuring 21.6 inches by 4.9 inches, and will also be white vinyl, as indicated in the graphics supplied. Staff recommends approval for the proposed signage based on it complies with the section 5.4 of our design. That concludes the report.
Any questions to staff?
Rusty, maybe you said this, but the Provisions Co. at the top of the, along the 3 sections you mentioned, that's also going to be white vinyl?
No, that is bronze, pin mount lettering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we look across the street, since I have a feeling that the same designer did this one as the other one, at the Cass building, is it kind of going to be the same?
I believe so.
Not the same colors, but the same kind of maybe style or
Yeah, I think Duncan
anyway.
and Beaver similar to that as the jewelry store.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions to staff? Commission want to take action?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion, support for the motion. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor? Yes. Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
It's approved.
Okay, next we have a request for certificate of appropriateness for 112 East Main Street. Staff report.
Yes, sir. So this is the 110 through 112 East Main Street building. The applicant is proposing multiple exterior alterations to the storefront, paint, signage, and outdoor seating. So for the storefronts and paint, the applicant is proposing to paint the existing wood sign backer black that previously had the Carolina Moon signage on it. The applicant is also proposing to continue the wood sign backer from the 112 East Main Street storefront to the 110 East Main Street storefront. The original window lights that is above the entry door to get up to the second story apartments will be maintained through this, and you can see this on the architectural sheet attached to your packet. For signage, the applicant is proposing to add another pin-mounted lettering that spells out bakery. This will be the exact dimensions and material as the coffee sign that is at 110 East Main. Outdoor seating, the applicant is proposing a 4-foot by 16-foot outdoor seating area in front of the 112 East Main Street storefront. There will be 6 feet of unobstructed walkway maintained as required per Troy Codified Ordinance 717.07. The railing will be made of metal and will have a bar top, and there'll be seats that will sit at that bar top. Those seats will be inside the fenced-in area. compliance with the design manual, section 2.5, piers, columns, pilasters that separate a storefront into distinctive bays shall be preserved. This request is not going to alter the original columns. There is, under the 110 East Main Street storefront, they had altered it to a plastic. They're going to try to remove that plastic and see if the original column can be preserved. If not, they'll cover it back with the same plastic. Staff recommends approval of the proposed alteration, signage, and outdoor seating based on the following. The contributing features as referenced on the OHI form are being maintained. The signage meets the design manual and otherwise does not detract from the integrity of the streetscape. The paint colors for the sign backer was permitted on the November 9th meeting. And that'll conclude my report.
Any questions, staff?
I have a question.
Mayor?
So Austin, the outdoor seating is in front of the window,
Yes, that's just in front of the 112 storefront.
which is the bakery side?
Yes, just the bakery section.
Okay.
I'm real concerned about the walkway and the ability of couples walking shoulder to shoulder. And I know we have at least a minimum of 6 feet. Have you or somebody tried walking shoulder to shoulder along that? And will 6 feet do it?
We haven't walked shoulder to shoulder, but I know that from the front facade to the curb is about 12 feet. They're only coming out 4 feet from the front facade of the building, which would leave 8 feet. So it's actually more than the 6 feet unobstructed walkway.
In this area that the obstruction will occur, is there a lamp post, is there a tree, is there any of that other stuff that's going to obstruct shoulder to shoulder walking?
There is a tree on the eastern portion of 112, but it's not centralized. It's kind of offset from where the outdoor seating will be.
Okay, so you're saying it's not going to impact
Yes, sir.
2 people walking side to side?
Yes, sir.
How about the lamp post that I see here?
I do not see a lamp.
Or maybe it's...
It's over by it's over by the B&M Bakery. It looks like it's on the eastern edge,
So that's not going to impact it either?
minimally, I would think. And those are typically about 2 feet off the curb, which would still leave about 6 feet.
Well, I want to make sure there's at least 6 feet there. Oh, there's a picture. Is it going to be in front of the bakery or the coffee shop?
Just the bakery portion.
So the lamp would impact.
Just on the corner. But that's an angled shot, so not even sure where that lamppost actually is.
The seam goes up to the corner of the building.
It's similar to what we had, a year or two ago around the corner.
On the Harris?
Aaron's, yeah. And we don't have any troubles with 2 people walking.
I'm not that aware.
And there's nothing that's going to be attached to the railings, right? That's going to overflow into the walkway area?
There's
Like
going to be
you have at Agave and Rye right now?
There's a bar top on top, but that obstruction, the overhang, is primarily on the fenced-in area side.
It's interior, not outside.
It's interior, because that's where the seats will be, underneath that bar top.
Okay. All right. Any other questions of staff?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Cappers.
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer.
Yes.
It's approved.
Next, we have a historic district application for certificate of appropriateness for 5 South Market Street. Staff report, please.
Yes, sir, so this is a request for the window replacement of the second floor windows for the property located at 5 South Market Street. A little bit of background on this. In 2018, the Planning Commission approved the request to replace 23rd floor windows with the pinnacle clad direct glazed rectangle window. And then back in June 8th of 2022, Planning Commission approved 10 first floor replacement windows with the same manufacturing and design as the third floor windows. The applicant is requesting to replace 20 second floor windows with the same exact window that is on the first floor. It'll be double hung and will be functional the same as the original. While this does not follow the Secretary of Interior guidelines, Planning Commission did previously approve the first and third floor, and the applicant wishes to match the design of the first and third floor to make it all match together. Staff recommends approval of the 22nd floor windows, as the windows will match the design of the first and third floor. That'll conclude my report.
Any questions, staff?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Tiverton?
Recalling those two other approvals, those windows, though, matched as closely as they could what they were replacing.
Yes, sir. So they match the functionality of the window, so it was a double hung to a double hung. The grills or muttons, as you call them, were exterior of the pane. So it was very close to the original.
Thank you.
Mr. Capper, do you have any public comment?
No. Any other questions, staff? Commission want to take any action?
Move for approval.
Motion, is there support for the motion?
I'll second.
Motion and support, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mr. Cappers?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Approved.
Next, we have a historic district application for certificate of appropriateness for 405 West Main Street. Staff's report, please.
Yes, sir. So the owner is requesting approval from the Planning Commission to review a window, multiple window replacements of third floor windows at the property located at the 405 Public Square Southwest and 2 through 6 West Main Street building. On April 18, 2023, city staff identified windows being replaced that did not receive a COA. City staff did issue a work order on those windows. The applicant is requesting 5 window replacements that are already on the Public Square side of the building and 4 windows on the front facade facing West Main Street. The original windows were 4/4 double hung windows and referenced as contributing features on the OHI form. The applicant is requesting to use Pella 250 series direct set fixed frame windows as the replacement windows. The proposed windows are single pane that do not have a meeting rail. The muttons are also located inside of the window pane, and the proposed color will be white. I did include a diagram of the terminology from the Secretary of Interior guidelines. That's included in that report. So from the Historic Preservation Brief number 9 from the Secretary of Interior Standards, the repair of historic wooden windows. Windows are an important aspect to the architectural design and character of any building, from their craftsmanship, design, and other qualities that make them worthy of preservation. And that's a direct quote. The design manual states that replacement windows should match the appearance of the historic originals and number of panes, dimensions of sash members, and profile of sash members and muttons. Windows should simulate the opening characteristics of the originals. I provided another visual aid in the report that identifies the differences between the second floor and the third floor for a visual aid in this. Staff does recommend denial of the proposed window replacement based on the following. They do not comply with the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. The window appearance and overall character is being altered. The replacement windows are not double hung, rather single pane. The muttons are located inside the pane that further alter the character of them as referenced on the OHI form. The windows will not be consistent with other windows on the building. There's 3 different types of windows that will be present should this request proceed on. And then we did not receive evidence of the condition of the original windows or methods of review of other alternatives with this application. And I'll conclude my report.
Question to staff?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Tiverton.
So, unlike the previous application, these new windows don't look like they get close to replicating what's there now.
That's correct. So the muttons are inside of the pane versus being an exterior mutton, so you're losing that reveal depth of the muttons. It also has a different glaze than the original windows does, so basically it looks shinier in layman's terms. And also the meeting rail in the middle is not present currently. I know the applicant has been working with Pella to see if there is a alternative to adding a meeting rail, but they also don't match the functionality of the original double hung.
Thank you.
From your president.
May I have
Just from your presentation, I heard a couple of things coming out of it. Appearance is important.
Yes.
If you were to stand out in the middle of this public square, take a look at the non-conforming versus the conforming windows, could you tell the difference in the appearance?
In this particular case, I can certainly tell.
The other thing that I was hearing is that it needed to simulate the opening characteristics.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying is the meeting rail was important.
Yes.
And double hung, okay. And if they came back with another application for a double hung window, where would they stand with staff?
So if they came back with another application, depending on if the original windows are salvageable, I don't have that information at this time. I'm under the impression that they were pretty damaged when they were being removed. If they come back with a application that the meeting rail is very, very close to the original functionally and all the characteristics that I mentioned, we would be supportive of that, should the original not be able to be reutilized.
And on this building, these windows that are suggested to be put in are going to be still different than other windows that are on the building?
Correct.
And where are those windows located, on the front of the building?
So there's
Main Street?
on the 405 side,
Right.
which is basically in the quadrant, directly above the 405 building, they're double hung, but they do not have the buttons there. I could not find a whole lot of information on how those windows got there, but they're still functionally the same, being that they're double hung, right? And they have the meeting rail in the middle. Go directly next door on the same side, on the second story are the wood windows with the 404 muttons. Then on the third floor are these that were altered that have the muttons inside the glass. So there's three different just on that public square side. This application is also including 4 window replacements on the front facade on West Main Street. So that would be another difference from the second floor to the third floor.
And your recommendation on those front ones?
Yes, sir.
May I hear from the applicant, please? Name and address, if you don't mind.
Heather Davey, 1640 Surrey Road, Troy, Ohio. First off, I don't know, I provided this to staff, but
We
this
all have
is...
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure that you saw that was the picture of what the windows would look like, and right below them are the windows that are not replaced. But also, I prepared a statement that I wanted to read that I have a copy for you as well, but I wanted to read it. I'm here today because I've been informed the window replacement that we had scheduled for the third floor of 2 West Main do not conform to historical standards. My husband and I own several buildings in downtown Troy, and it has been and always will be in our intention to continue to provide affordable rental space for businesses while also maintaining the integrity of the historical buildings. We are excited to be able to secure funding to remodel the third floor of 2 West Main. In this application, I think it's also listed as 405. That's because these buildings were all once individual buildings, so it's kind of a mix, but it's actually, the true address would be 4 West Main for most of the windows. Some of the windows are in 405 Public Square as well. In order to create more office spaces for additional businesses to come to downtown Troy. The old windows in this space were not able to open or stay open, and were creating a water problem inside of this space. Knowing that we are permitted to perform maintenance to our buildings without approval, as long as we are not changing the look of the building, we ordered the windows to be energy efficient, allow for temperature control environment, and we're very close replicas of the existing windows. I have since learned that some of the differences that we chose would have required prior approval from the Planning Commission. We hope that you will approve the windows that we have already purchased, even though they contain internal muttons and are fixed windows instead of double hung. We have found that there are other windows in the downtown area possessing the same changes of internal muttons and double hung windows switched to fixed windows. I have attached pictures of some of those windows that we found that with these alterations to the window design, including the city building, which we're in right now. After speaking with Austin Idemiller and Tim Davis, we did research some alterations that we could make to the current windows that would give the illusion of a double hung window from the street level looking up. We can adhere a piece of material to the outside of the window that would give the illusion of the dimension of a double-hung window that would have the upper piece. The only problem with this option is it will void our warranty on the glass according to our contractor. Therefore, we would prefer to avoid this option unless it is found that it's the only way that the Planning Commission feels that our current windows will meet the expectations for approval. We have included a picture that shows the mock-up of this added piece. I hope that you will understand that our mistake was not an attempt to avoid getting prior approval, but rather just a misunderstanding. I also hope that you will consider accepting the windows that we have already invested in so that we can continue to make other investments into making a beautiful historical downtown Troy.
Any questions of the applicant? Mr. McGarry?
I applaud all your efforts too and what you've done with the buildings around town.
Thank you.
You've done quite a nice job with those. I recall with the Dye building when the last time they came through with windows, I believe those are internal mullions also.
Talking about 5 South Market?
No, the Dye building.
Caroline.
Or the Caroline, yeah.
The Caroline 5 South Market?
Yeah, 5 South Market. Those mines are exterior.
And my biggest concern was, it's nice to follow those guidelines of the Department of Interior or whoever sets them. But, with the new materials they've got and the energy efficiencies and whatnot, double hung windows are kind of a real pain in the butt, to save pretty significantly. Plus, the internal mullions solve the problem of of going away from wood. I don't know if anybody makes a non-wood window or a fiberglass window with exterior mullions, and if they do, it's probably pretty cost prohibitive. But you look around town where they've got interior mullions and. Again, like the city building, I think they look pretty good. The alteration that you've shown here, is this something that you're proposing to do?
So that is, after talking to Austin and Tim, I was trying to, I'm trying to be as accommodating as possible in order to, we've made a $15,000 investment in these windows, and if they can't be used, then that's the last investment that we've completely lost. And so I'm trying to work around finding a way that we can make the windows at least have the appearance of being double hung. And so that is a potential alteration that we would be willing to make, even though it would void our warranty on the windows, on the glass.
Any other questions, Mayor?
Do you have any plans to make all the windows the same in the whole building? So
Well,
right now there's 3 different kinds. Is the intention to have them all be the same?
Well, our intention would have been that over time. It's cost prohibitive to do it all at one time. The reason why we were doing these at this time is because we're remodeling the space, and these were kind of like the worst windows in a sense in the building, and so over time that would be probably our hope is to replace and go back to, there's a lot of windows on the building that have clearly been replaced over time and haven't followed any sort of standard of matching prior to our ownership.
So you're the recipient of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Any other questions of the applicant?
No, not of the applicant, just comments.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Comment, Mr. Terry?
Sure, just that, and just kind of respond to Mr. McGarry's comments. The guidelines are fairly recent. They're guidelines for a reason. We want to follow those as much as we can. I have not heard anything that says that every effort has been made to comply with those guidelines, and there simply isn't any alternative. Whether, City Hall or anybody else is using a particular type of window, I wasn't here when City Hall was renovated. I don't know how closely the newer windows, or these newer windows, were to the original windows. But I know the guidelines, just to put it in layman's terms, they want us to do that, because this is trying to preserve the historic nature of the downtown. The $15,000 investment, whatever that amount was, that was an investment that was made at risk. This is not the first COA type application that the Davies have filed before. We were a little puzzled as to why something as major as this was undertaken without an application. So the risk, it really has to be on the purchaser. That I'm not going to take that into account when I decide how to vote. I'm not really compelled that the fake, I guess, whatever you want to call that, mandrel, is really going to solve the issue. I also don't like the fact that it voids a warranty. That always should raise concerns, but those are the comments that I have. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
First of all, I want to note that we received a email letter from the Troy Historic Preservation Alliance, and I want the minutes to reflect that we've received that and we've taken that into consideration. My comments, I see two things. I see the internal versus external muttons as being an issue, and I also see the double hung versus the fixed length pane. The muttons don't bother me as much. I'm sorry. We've got a difference of opinion on that. They're there, and they look to me like it's a good look. The double hung versus the single pane, refresh my memory. The Caroline has a fixed window. Were those double hung windows? They were replaced by fixed?
On the third floor, they were single pane. On the first and second floor, they were double hung originally and were replaced double hung.
Okay. And I know you were around when the city building was remodeled.
I was.
Can I make a comment?
You go right ahead there.
So I understand the guidelines and the standards. I also think that had these windows been available when these buildings were built, they would have had interior muttons. They might not have been double hung. And when we are asking property owners to maintain these old buildings, it seems like this should be allowed. And I don't know how we get around that with the standards that are written. I have to agree with Al. The windows look pretty good. We just met out there and looked. Double hung windows, I can see that being a moisture issue and a rain issue. And why do we ask somebody to put something in that is going to hurt the building? Or it could present an issue. Just my thoughts.
Any other comments?
So and I apologize, I didn't ask. So, do they not make double hung for that size of window? I may have misunderstood that, or I apologize, I didn't ask the owner.
Can you respond to that, please?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Do they make a double hung window for the size of the opening?
Yes, they would have made a double hung window.
And the reason you didn't go with the double hung is what?
Well, two reasons. One is we do have issues with double hung windows in the sense that throughout the whole building we've had issues in the past. I didn't realize that it was going to be such a difference. I really just have to be dead honest. I really thought that I was going with something that looked very similar, and I realize now that that's a huge difference, but it didn't seem like a huge difference at the time. So what we were going for was energy efficient, and then also it's I wouldn't, it's cheaper to do a fixed window versus a double hung. And when we didn't want them to be opened anyhow in order for energy efficiency, it just seemed to make sense.
And I understand that you can't, I know they're already in, so you can't exchange them.
Yeah, and I actually did tell Austin that the ones that have been removed, they're not, we cannot put them back in. They were destroyed in the process of removing them. There are still 4 on the West Main side that have not been touched, but the process of removing them, they're gone, so.
But even, I know it's even difficult to replace what's already in there now, the single hung with a double hung. I mean, would the window company give you credit for?
It would be difficult in the sense that it would be financially difficult. They would be able to order us new windows, truthfully. We're not going to get any credit for the windows that we purchased.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate your investment in the buildings. They look nice. I'm disappointed that it makes sense that the double hung would have been the appropriate way, but I know you know that now. It's just, I appreciate the insight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Fenton?
So, I'm concerned, we're talking about these destroyed originals. Let's keep in mind that they wouldn't have been destroyed had they gone through the process before they started replacing 5 windows, first of all. Second of all, the fact that these were cheaper, sends off alarm bells too, that there was not as much consideration as there should have been in the historic nature and the look of the building. I know it's eye of the beholder. I tend to see these new windows being quite a bit different looking than the ones that are out there. But I just wanted to put that on the record that, the cost and the destruction of the original windows and the fact that they can't be replaced won't weigh on my decision.
Mr. Capper, do you have something about a comment?
No, I'm sorry, this is not a public hearing.
Okay, exactly.
Any other questions? I have a hard time saying that they can't put in the new windows because it looks different when I'm taking a look at these side-by-side pictures of the old city building and the new city building and seeing how much of a dramatic change that is. But Commission want to take any action? Anybody want to put it on the table? Okay, for the purposes of further discussion, I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness for 405 West Main Street. If there's no support for the motion, then the motion dies.
Explain what the motion supports.
It supports the application, the granting of the certificate of appropriateness. Hearing no support, the motion dies, so consequently, it's as if it were denied. Right? Okay. Staff have anything else come before the commission today?
We would like to introduce a new staff member in the development department. This is Jacqueline Tyler. She's our management analyst. She's a little shy, but we'll warm her up to it.
Hello, Jacqueline. Tell us a little bit about your background, please.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Tyler. I got my undergrad at Eastern Kentucky University in Homeland Security. I got a minor in disaster management and a minor in security operations while attending there as well. After that, I did a year as an AmeriCorps member serving the Dayton American Red Cross during the 2019 tornadoes, the mass shooting, and the water crisis that all went down in the year of 2019. After that, I decided I was going to go back to school, get my master's in public administration with a certificate in GIS from Wright State University. While doing that, I also served as a safety specialist at PSA Airlines during COVID, and then I continued on with the Dayton Fire Department as an intern there, also doing COVID, and also any rescue task force assignments. And now I'm here.
Any questions of Jacqueline? Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else from staff?
No, sir.
Commission have anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.
Sue, Mike, please.